One of the hardest parts in life is when something ends. I think all of us can look at the series finales of our favorite shows and feel something bittersweet. It's not that we didn't love the show. It's not that we won't rewatch it. It's just that there are no new episodes coming. What it was, in its conclusion, the moments we felt, the times we laughed, the moments that we cried, it's over and it's never coming back. That is how this changed with Hal and Falcons joining Zero and Genburten for this super team we call the ALGS has made a lot of us feel. And I'm here to talk about the 5 things that this change exposes in Apex Legends and how you, as a player, as someone who maybe watches the pro scene, or just someone who's enjoying a little bit of drama, some spice, and come across this video, can learn from them. And if there are any problems, definitely a couple of solutions that I might be able to suggest, having gone through things like this in the past. Number 5. This was shocking. What this exposed in our scene was that we felt that there was inevitability that HAL and TSM were synonymous. The fact that ImperialHal, after their performance at LAN, looking dejected, after I counted on them to do what they usually do as TSM and rise to the occasion, let everyone know that he was leaving the team to join this super team in Falcons, it was a shock that I don't think anyone in the ALGS, in the pro scene, even in the casual scene, heck, or the Twitch scene was prepared to face. I mean, there's a lot of elements to this, right, that are more important than the fact that it was shocking. But I think the first part of the waves that hit everyone was that this is actually happening. This is really changing. And it's rare when you get news that shakes the foundation, the core of what you expect, what you anticipate, and really what you've known. HAL and TSM have been synonymous with each other. HAL grew his stream in Apex Legends from about 8 viewers all the way to the 14 to sometimes 100,000 viewers he gets while he's streaming during ALGS regional finals or just traditional split pro days, or even just grinding ranked. But maybe even more so as to why it was shocking, why a lot of people felt that no way could this be happening, is because when you look at HAL, you kind of think that he's got everything that you would ever want. I mean, what else do you need besides tons of viewers, tons of money? You're in a relationship, you got a great team. Yeah, you didn't win this one, but just get back out there and try again. It's normally worked for HAL. It has worked in the past. They have been beaten, come back, and won in the ultimate fashion, but not this time. This time, something happened to where it was over, and that is why it was so shocking. Number 4, TSM will still have Reps and HAL as now their new duo to root for. While HAL decided to join the likes of DarkZero's Zero and Genburten to create the super team with new org Falcons coming into the Apex Legends scene, what does that mean for TSM? Well, it means that the same people who helped HAL get these championships in these last years, this latest run of greatness, are still there. And it leaves a very big question for TSM fans. And this is something that a lot of sports fans have gone through. When, Kobe was no longer a Laker, was I a Lakers fan or was I a Kobe fan? If LeBron is no longer a Cleveland Cavalier and you're from Cleveland, do you follow LeBron or you just keep rooting for Cleveland? What do you do in these scenarios where your favorite player, maybe the biggest name, leaves, and do you have loyalty to the player or do you have loyalty to the organization? In many ways, I think this actually created a significant amount of loyalty that wasn't there to TSM, and that's hard to say because they're one of the most loyal fan bases, but people really said, you know what, I still love TSM. I still want to root for Verhulst and Reps, and I honestly think that that is something that is a huge element this exposed, that esports are finally building enough cachet if you have enough of a record, if you have enough of a track record and experience to where the org might actually have precedence over some of the players. I still think we're a far cry away from that, but I certainly know that in my eyes, I looked at TSM and said, yes, maybe they won't be able to get to that top place of glory. But after watching them this weekend, even winning Pro League in their match day 3, I could see that TSM fans were just waiting to come back out and chant their names. And I think that it's still going to have not only a ton of presence, but it's going to be a great story of what it means to do something great with a dynasty on an org and reap the benefits of that from years to come because of the loyalty that you've showed them. Sports fans are loyal. I think esports fans are loyal as well. While we may not have such an established scene as a team that's been around for 60 to 100 years, we're getting to that point. And I think TSM TSM is now got a new duo to root for in Reps and Hal, alongside Zapdo, who is, to me, actually proven to be a very great pickup for them. They're going to have a lot of traction, and as they won Match Day 3 just recently, this could be a great story that develops the old TSM and Hal's old teammates versus the new Falcons. Could that be a rivalry coming up into our conversation? Number 3, this super team has only one option. Now, this was the biggest thing that this change exposed, right? Not the fact that will Reps and Verhulst actually be able to carry, you know, the torch themselves for TSM. I think the answer is yes. I do think that. And it's not, you know, will this happen? I mean, can this happen? This doesn't seem right in Apex Legends. No, we have seen Hal leave. The biggest thing for me that this super team exposed was that they have really only one option, and that's to win. There is absolutely no way that this team can get second place at LAN. There's no way this team can get second place in Pro League. There's no way this team is going to be happy with a second place against Reject Winity yet again, which we'll get into. The truth is, this team was built to win, and if they do not win, after all that they've given up, leaving DarkZero and TSM, two orgs that have been phenomenal and winners in our ALGS history, then it is a failure, and there is no other way to say it. It might seem harsh, but when you look at what these players are doing, when you look at the risks that they're taking, and I respect it, and I'll get into that in my 5th point as to whether I think this exposed something good or bad. I do think, though, that they've put themselves in a position to where, because they have touted themselves as a super team or been described that way, they really don't leave a lot of options for the learning process. They've got to be good at the outset, and to their benefit and to their awareness, they are. Hal, Zero, and Genburten are not only must-watch Apex Legends, they've taken 1st place and now 2nd place in their first 2 match days back to back. And yes, while a 2nd isn't great, they are at the top of the North American leaderboards at the time of this video being made. And I do think that this is something that they knew they had to do. And for 3 guys who have all that pressure on their backs to not only prove their worth, but to take those risks and say, we're leaving something that's good to find something that's great, well, I think that takes a lot of respect, and I give them a lot of respect for actually following up and getting the job done. You may be mad at them, you may want to hate them, and I know people are waiting for them to lose for the hate to really pile on, because trust me, a lot of people will be able to make fun of this team if they underperform even once. But to know that and still step out there and play, that takes confidence, it takes guts, and more importantly, it takes belief in yourself and your teammates. This could be the thing that helps them, because they might feel that it's the world against us, and so we have to be the 3 that are so strong that nothing else can break us. And, you know, that is actually a recipe for a championship type team. Number 2, the Reject Winity win was perfectly timed in Apex Legends history. Apex Legends was in an interesting place in its history. Just to catch those up who aren't really familiar, we've never had a team in EMEA take a win. We've never had a team in APAC North take a win. We have never had a team besides North American squads or an APAC South squad that then shifted over to North America in DarkZero/Reignite before they were picked up by that org win. 2 teams out of all the teams in the regions have been the only winners in our modern day LAN cycle up until just about a month or 2 ago. Reject Winity in Los Angeles won the Split 1 LAN playoffs, and that made a huge difference and exposed what this region was able to do and what other regions had to now think of themselves as. It was no longer a guaranteed win for North America. It was no longer APAC South being the only threat. It was no longer a top 10, but, you know, of course they won't win match point for APAC North. It shook the foundation of the understanding and the respect that each of these regions had for one another. And this alone, in my opinion, was one of the biggest reasons that we saw this Falcons team be created. And it seemed like it was really the fuel to the fire that gave Hal the permission to leave, especially knowing that his contract was going to be renewed and he would have to sign a new one with TSM. Looking at the future, Hal probably thought that with Reject Winity winning, that meant that there was a new era of Apex upon them and that they had to adapt, they had to adjust, and that the old stuff that wasn't working or was sometimes working, sometimes not, would now no longer be good enough. He thought that Zero and Genburten, being 2 of the talented and most winningest players outside of himself, were the only two that he needed to party with in order to take down what would now become a more global threat in ALGS LAN performances. And I think this is one of the things that really got exposed because of Reject Winity's win. Congratulations to them, but I definitely think it was a question mark raised to all of the other players in Apex Legends to see what they would do to respond. And this certainly, while it is maybe the riskiest, was also the most extreme response possible by North American APAC South players to say, okay, Reject Winity, you got LAN 1, we'll see you in Split 2. And now, the number one thing this move from HAL to Falcons exposes in Apex Legends is that this is truly the end of an era. I don't know how old you are right now, but I'm 33. I've been through my fair share of losing houses, changing jobs, relationships starting and ending, and starting back up again. And I could tell you that every little bit of those moments mark a beginning of a new me. They also mark the end of something that I'll never get back, a moment, an experience, and a time that I look back on, even if they were difficult, even if I struggled, with fondness, because they're a part of who I am. They're a part of my human DNA, and they're a part of my story. And that's what's happened here with HAL deciding to leave TSM. When you leave a group of people that you work with, that go into battle with you every single day, that respect you and that you respect, and you work hard with to accomplish things, and you do accomplish those things, and you still stick together, it creates something that's powerful. It's why we love watching these stories, whether it's in a film of groups of people doing things that feel impossible at the outset, but then accomplishing something that the world is better for. It's one of those reasons why HAL and TSM were so special. From the very beginning, they became synonymous with each other's success. And as they continued to grow, they only raised more and more ships with their rising tide. Whether it was Albrelelli on the squad or Verholst on the squad, Reps was there by HAL's side, allowing him to hoist those trophies and keep building a legacy that I think no one in Apex or in the last esports landscape, if you've been watching, will ever forget in the years to come. And in a way, it exposes a little bit about life, that these things that seem like they're the end of the road, not only are the end, but they're also the beginning of your very next journey. It was sad when I left Hi-Rez. I announced it live at the end of an amazing set that my tenure at that company, living in Georgia, would come to an end. But you know what that got me? It got me my relationship back. It got me, now a married man, a look into the future of the life that I wanted to live. It gave me opportunities to work for myself and discover new games. And guess what game I discovered? Apex. So in that way, while I was saying no and letting go of a past and a current present, maybe even a future that I could have had there, I was also saying yes to something new, something bigger, something more miraculous than I could have ever imagined. In a way, this exposes to me that this keeps happening in life, whether I'm 18 or 33 or 53 or beyond. Life keeps offering us new opportunities to say yes to things that we can't see, but might be greater and bigger than what we've got in front of us. And while HAL and Zero and Genburten's story is just starting, and we don't know where it will end, I certainly can raise my hat to them in the idea that they've taken the risk to see where it goes. And I will encourage you all to take risks as well, because your journey, while it may seem like one is coming to an end, only means that something greater, something maybe more magnificent, could be right around the corner. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please leave a like if you did. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and remember to never give up, never stop gaming, and I'll see you all next time.
As the crowd acknowledges what can only be described as greatness, a dynasty in front of them, it reminds me of just the moments that you get to witness in life that you may never come across again. That is the beauty of seeing someone, a team, a collective do something bigger than themselves and prove it on a world stage and do it in such a way that inspires others to be better. TSM have somehow found a way against all odds to do it again. And man, they really represent what it means to play Apex.